So now you are looking at the blackboard. You can watch the screen, or you can open up, and then you can follow through. But this is a course, HA204, History of East Asian Costume. And then each day when you log into the class, you should check announcements. Usually when I create announcements, I also send it as an email. So it immediately goes to your email box. That is very important. I hope you check your email every morning, at least for 10 minutes. And I am usually an early riser. I get up early and do a lot of work in the morning hours. So you may get some announcements from me usually early in the morning. So it's important that you check announcements, or these are also in your email. So announcements important. And then homepage is homepage. I mean, that is not so much. I don't use this one so often. But course information is very important. So if you click this syllabus, it goes to your digital syllabus. So this one is basic information. If we had an in-person class, we could have met in P508, description and learning outcomes. So learning outcomes are important. At the end of the semester, you will master 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And my assignments or tests are designed to accomplish these learning outcomes. So even though it's a little bit tedious, I want one of you volunteer to read learning outcomes. Who wants to read? Oh, Emma? Yeah, so can you read learning outcomes?
Sure. Upon successful completion of the course, students will be able to 1. Describe, analyze, and interpret East Asian costume using basic vocabulary and special terms related to art history and costume history. Number 2, interpret East Asian costume as represented in works of art in various media. 3, describe the artistic, cultural, political, and/or historical importance of surviving examples of East Asian garments and accessories in various museums. 4, explain major political, socioeconomic, cultural, and historical events and movements that affected costume worn or consumed by people in East Asia. 5, identify regional and stylistic subcategories of East Asian costume and accessories, as well as sources of influence on them. 6, employ effective written and oral communication and research skills that demonstrate critical thinking. 7, demonstrate effective web-based research skills that further the development of the SUNY core competency in technology. 8, evaluate an effective use of multimedia for educational resources and interactive programs of East Asian dresses and accessories in the context of reproduction of garments, historical preservation, and reconstruction.
Oh, so thank you so much, Emma. So as you can see, number, let's say 6, 7, 8 are existing in your toolbox, right? Like a written and oral communication skills. You are already advanced in your own programs. And eventually you are going to learn how to use those educational resources. And I think number 8 is important for your continuous learning. What we are accomplishing this semester, like only 15 weeks, will be fundamental basics, and like you get acquainted with the materials and resources. Eventually you should be able to do your own learning. And then one thing I wanted to mention is here, major political, socio-economic, and historical events and movements affected costume one. And so you will say, what does 4 mean? But this is important because during that dynastic changes or shifts, sometimes Asian people were faced with drastic change in costume. It's unusual. It may be a little bit difficult for you to imagine, but I always say to my students that, do you know the novel called The Handmaid's Tale? Have you ever read The Handmaid's Maze
definitely.
Tale. Nancy, can you tell us a little bit about the novel?
Oh my gosh, it's really um so you're talking about the Margaret Atwood, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I mean it was originally written in the 80s, you know, and then they made a TV show out of it recently, but it's what happens when a new government takes over America, and women no longer have their rights. Also, there seems to be a problem with women getting pregnant, and of course, that's a big deal, you know, to continue our civilization. So, the very powerful men have women who were able to conceive as their handmaids, and I don't know how much more you want me to tell about it, but
Let's
that's.
talk about the clothes.
Oh, are we talking about the clothes? Oh, sorry.
Tell us about the clothes. You read it.
Oh, okay. About the clothes. So,
Yeah.
different classes, I guess, wear different colors. So, the wives of the powerful men.
Generals.
I'm sorry,
Wives of the general, like a
the
general
generals,
Fred.
right?
Yeah.
They wear like a bluish greenish
Mm.
color. The handmaids wear red. And then they have the aunts who wear like brown. The aunts are the women who kind of control the handmaids or teach them or whatever. So that's basically colors. Different colors represent different statuses, and then yeah,
Yeah,
is
thank
that
you so
right?
much, Nancy. I'm so glad that you read it. So the main character's name is Offred. You know, you read it like Offred, but that means of Fred. You belong to the family of General Fred. So in a way, it's like a dark humor, but it's a dystopia. It's about the dystopia, right? But anyhow, the reason I'm mentioning these historical events and movements is, you know, over Frida, for example, she remembers the time when she was able to wear the regular, you know, 1970s clothes, right? Pants and shirts, you know, kind of clothes. But then after that sort of a, you know, fictional third war and environmental changes, she has to wear 18th century women's dress, kind of like a loose women's dress, and then, you know, hair covered with a cloak, you know, those kind of things. But then, yeah, the reason I'm mentioning is so when you have a dynastic shifts in East Asia, like changing into a drastically new style, is a sudden abrupt mandate by the government. It's not like a gradual changes. So that's what we are going to talk a lot in the class, because we are covering the entire East Asia. And then number 1, 2, and 3 are quite similar to the type of other art history classes that we've taken. So here, what I want to teach you is there will be some museum objects with a concrete date. So that those are the sources for contemporary designers or us to reconstruct a periodic costume. You know, we always start with our resources, right? Like, what is your evidence? So we have a very fragmentary but material evidence from museum collections, and that will be basis to create fashion illustration or reconstructed garment for certain periods. So in our class, number 1, 2, 3 are very important, and those will be tested in your midterm and final exams. Number 4 is ongoing. It's a historical background, and eventually you will be able to explain this at the end of the semester. And then number 5, so regional and stylistic subcategories, we may not cover all of them because China is a huge country. China, we consider it one country who speaks Chinese somewhere in East Asia, but in fact, it's composed of 100 large and small ethnic communities. So it's not one country. There is a certain dominant idea that forces these people to come out with a homogeneous national identity, but it's like a citizenship kind of thing, national identity. They carry passport of People's Republic of China, but at home or in their own sub-community or in their regional towns, they don't speak or wear the standard expression. So this number 5 is, sometimes I talk about it, but it's a little difficult to cover all of them. But I want you to be certainly aware of the stylistics of categories. So outcomes are very important. You can also, ask yourself at the end of the semester, so can I do this? Can I describe and analyze this Asian costume? This using basic vocabulary, right? Special terms. You probably can. And then number 2, can I interpret this in works of art? Meaning, like we don't have many surviving garments per se. We don't have many surviving shoes per se, but we will have pictorial representation of those costumes or sculptural representation of belt or hat. So various works of art in different media. That's what I mean. And then you can certainly, talk about the historical importance of surviving examples. So this is the digital syllabus, and then academic honors code, right? Like you don't use other people's words without coding, and support systems, academic advisement center, counseling. Feel free to use counseling. We all suffer from some psychological isolation, and then dean of students is something about your behavior and other concerns, right? Like some professors never meet live, even though it's a remote learning class. Then you can talk to dean of students. Feedable. So if you are eligible for feedable service, let me know, so you can get like double the time and a half. All kinds of support. And then you have a library link, academic skills tutoring center. It's not math class, but you can certainly get art history tutor there as well. And then a writing studio is important. I highly encourage all of you to take advantage of this. Is there anybody who's a tutor in writing studio in my class? You can type in if you are a tutor there. Historically, many of my students are history minors. Those students were tutors in writing center, but this is a fundamental resource. When you write your resume or when you apply for your jobs, you can use this service. They can meet you virtually for, I think, 30 minutes or 1 hour, or you can set up recurring appointment. So it's a great way of utilizing your, I guess, college resources, right? You pay the tuition, and where else can you get more values? By signing up to writing and speaking studios. And then if you have, we don't have a really snow day, not those kind of things, right? Like something happened into the school building, you will get an alert. And then student conduct, technical support. So if you have some problems with the Blackboard, usually it's not me who solved the problem. It's usually that Blackboard support system. I call that help desk very often. As you can imagine, I want to solve problems very quickly, so they remember my voice. I called it so many times, especially during the beginning of the semester when I set up the class, or when I grade, upload my grade. I called them so many times. But you should be assured that I am a power user of the Blackboard, so I'm very good at using all kinds of tools and resources. But if you have some problem, you don't get any announcements from me, or you cannot open certain link, you can talk to Blackboard. It's usually a browser issue. They will say, download the most recent version of Chrome or something. I use Chrome. Anyhow, those are things with the drawer. So you decide when is the time. So 13th week of fall or spring semester.